Good morning. It's 8:03, Thursday, August the 31st. The last day in August of this fine British summer. I'm in, can't remember the name of this part. It's not Campbelltown. Anyway, the airport's behind me on the Isle of Man. And it feels fantastic to be here. It's like a huge milestone for me to get this far north sailing. And after this, it's pretty much 4 days to Tarbet. So I'm quite excited about that. But I'm going to stay in Isle of Man for a few days. I've never been to the Isle of Man before. I want to see it. And I've probably mentioned it already, or if I haven't, I want to hire a motorbike and ride around the TT course. That's kind of been a, not a burning ambition of mine, but it's one of those things on the tick list somewhere. So I'm going to sail up to Douglas Marina. I have to say, I mean, it's probably not the most exciting or invigorating sail I've done, but this is probably one of the most pleasurable sails I've done. It's only 5, 6, 7 nautical miles from my anchorage to Douglas Harbour. And I'm doing now 2.5 knots over the hull. And it's very leisurely. I'm actually doing 5 on the GPS. I got 10 knots of wind on the beam starboard. Just practicing with the sails, setting them up properly. It's a very leisurely sail. Really enjoyable. Well, I think that's what they call quite a dishonourable 61 minutes. Well, that was about 3 times as slow. But I did have a few little obstacles to get past. Mountain Road was the best though. I did shit myself on it though. I think I've done the circuit 4 or 5 times. It's just, riding the mountain part is just, no speed limit. You ride within your limits if you know them. Although I did push it a little bit. There was definitely a little squeezing sphincter moment when I approached a corner on the wrong side of 100. Didn't do that again. You take a boat through heavy conditions and that's what you get, a damp V-berth. So the drying out process has started. Yeah, this is what you call peaceful sailing. Just a light breeze, a red trim 6.6 right behind me. And got 2 knots under the keel. Actually got 4 knots over the ground, which is fantastic. See, I think I have to say this is probably the most peaceful sailing I've ever done. I'm about 2 hours out of Douglas now. Probably making good speed actually. Probably done about sort of 8-9 nautical miles. I'm just south of Campbelltown and the airport now. So steering a course 289 degrees, 290 degrees to get down to the Calf of Man. But actually quite really enjoying it. It's just very peaceful, there's no rush. It is a 30-mile trip today to get around to Peel and anchor in Peel Harbour. But I got tons of time. I was on the water at 6:30, so loads and loads of time. So I'm just monging out, just enjoying it. Decided to go through the sound and the wind's picked up at the most technical parts of it. It's got to 20-21 knots right on the beam, so it's starting to pull a little bit. I'm doing 5.9 knots under the hull, 6.5 knots over ground. Water's a little bit disturbed here, but it doesn't look too bad, and it looks pretty clear once I get past this little island. Yeah, that's a vicious little section. Pretty much free. Oh, that was the Calf of Man Sound. Very short and brief. It wasn't that disturbed actually. I'm told it can get a hell of a lot worse. But what's the time now? 9:48, so I'm down. Oh. The wind's a lot stronger on the west side now. It's partly because I'm getting the wind on the beam as well, so I'm getting the full brunt of it. Still on full lock. Probably got too much sail out, I think. I've dropped out the mainsail quite a lot, so it's a reasonable angle, so taking a little bit of power out of that. So it's just the foresail that's kind of really catching everything, and it is really pulling. But once I get into that headland, I think I'll see it lose a lot of the wind, take a lot of the power out of it. But gosh, she's pulling. Part Port Erin now, so I'm in sort of like the shadow of the headland, so the wind's dropped off quite a lot, down to 8 knots from 23. Still on the beam, and down to 3.6 knots under the hull, 4 knots over land. So yeah, it'll open up a little bit again because I'll move away from the headland a little bit further north and a couple of miles. So it looks like I'm going to get to Peel fairly quickly actually. There's me thinking I was in for an easy sail today. I think gusts 29, gusts of 29 now. Really close haul. I've pulled the foresail in quite a lot. The mainsail's still out on full. Although I've loosened it off quite a lot. And I'm just trying to get to the protection of the cliffs so I can get some of the power out of the sails. I think on reflection, just moving out of those big cliffs, a few 100-metre cliffs. And I think I probably put myself through worse than I needed to. I should have been actually further out at sea. I think what happened, the wind has been rushing down those hills, gathering speed and then hitting the bay. And of course entertaining me in my boat. Remarkably, when I was under those cliffs, I got a gust, although it was only about 2 seconds. It got up to 39 knots. And now we're kind of settled down. I'm pretty much out of those cliffs now. Now it's settled down to mid-20s. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I was right. It wasn't a good move to go under the cliffs for protection. It was quite the opposite. The wind came over from the east, travelled across the Isle of Man, and then belted down the cliff face, accelerated and hit my boat, which made life very entertaining. So now I just got sort of mid-20 knots and with the swell, and it's hitting me sort of beam on, so it's just kind of rocking the boat like that a little bit. But I'm doing 4.5 knots, I got half sails out, and I'm content with that. I've got 5 miles to go, so I'm in no rush. It's only 11 o'clock in the morning. With these kind of conditions, I could probably got to Stranraer. Miles from the Scottish coast. I can't see it. There's so much haze out there that it's just gone completely. You can still see Isle of Man behind me. That's still quite prominent, but obviously the mountains. But Scotland, I don't know how high Stranraer is. I don't think it's that. It's mountains. It's more kind of lowland. It's probably going to match Isle of Man. There's nothing out there. Completely gone. Scotland has sailed off into the Atlantic. He wants his independence. He's taken rather extreme measures. Land detachment.